Jean-Paul here, how are you doing? So I'm currently in the countryside of Kent, beautiful area here in the south of England. I'm making a new nature relaxation video. However, my second one, I haven't been able to export it because I used to have some problems with my editing software, so I need to figure out how I can export these gigantic files. It's enormous, it's unbelievable, so I need to kind of learn to work with it. But anyway, in this video I want to talk about, it's not always easy for a woman to operate in this overly dominated world of masculine energy, but at the same time how challenging it can be for a man to commit to spirituality and open his heart in a world that is dominated by the masculine energy. So this is quite an interesting subject because, maybe before we even knew it, maybe this world was indeed run by feminine energy, and then maybe, I don't know, there was a conflict and masculine energy took over, right? And since all these eons, perhaps, men have been dominating this planet, the war, the chaos, the control, the power, the domination, our history. And the women were quite manipulated. They were pushed down by the masculine, right? Women had no rights. They even said in medieval times, and even before that, way before that, in the times of the Vikings, in the religions, Christianity, which was of course, the English, the British, they had their Christianity. They believed that a woman was a previous prostitute, right? Because that was being brought up in religions and such. Now this kind of still runs in our psychology, right? Where the feminine is quite like suppressed. It's kind of over-dominated by the masculine. And now we start to realize that there's like an out of balance, right? We see that we live in a world where everything is about power, control, manipulation, domination, competition, which is kind of more like the shadow side of the masculinity. Of course, there's also divine masculinity, and what divine masculinity is also what I will share with you in this video. But everything is more like, materialism, right? Consumerism and power and control. That's really what's going on currently in our planet. And women are trying to adapt with it, right? Women has to make career, women has to do everything that also men are doing. And it's kind of like a man thing, right? To do all of that. And women now suddenly start to realize that they are not really there embracing their own femininity because of that. And now they start to, women start to go to spiritual workshops and stuff like that. But now also men start to realize, like, wait a minute, in this pursuit of success, fame, status, it's all like ego based, building up your identity, your social accepted self-image and that kind of things. Men also start to realize, like, wait a minute, is this all okay? I am not maybe just like pushing another part of me that exists inside of me. Don't I just push that away? That's the biggest question, and I think a lot of men are currently dealing with that question. And men start to go to their personal development workshops, their spiritual workshop retreats, in order to find that thing that they feel is missing, right? Their true self. Because they have always been so busy for the last centuries, building up this egocentric image, self-image, identity. And now they start to realize, like, okay, wait a minute, that's a part of me, but I also have another part of me that I have not been connected with. And I feel like, disconnected, separated, isolated from that part. Women have been realizing this for a long time, and women have already starting to embrace this for a longer time than men. But now also men start to realize, like, something is off, something is out of balance, something is not in a beautiful harmony just yet. So men start to attend spiritual workshops, and what they figured is, like, damn, like 80-90% are females here, and I'm basically like almost the only man here in this room, maybe just with another few chaps, So what men basically start to see like what I'm doing, you know, I'm doing this spiritual healing development work, but it's such a feminine thing to do, right? Only women are doing this. What's going on with me? You know, something must be right, not right, you know? Have I really embraced my masculinity? So there starts to be a lot of confusion, right? When men start to overthink and overanalyze and come up with reasons and logic like, you know, there's no logic in this, you know? What's going on with me? And that's kind of like the conflict man has to deal with by embracing their spirituality, and it's a very challenging thing. Women has to deal with, you know, women have already been having access to their feminine, divine feminine energy. You know, they just need to accept it more, but they have already been trying to so hard to adapt to this masculine energy, so they have already aligned themselves with logic and reason and analytical thinking. But now, for them, it's now much easier to align themselves with their feminine part. But now men are also trying to align themselves with their feminine part, which is about, you know, the right side of the brain, creativity and intuition and compassion, empathy, sympathy, right? Connection, being present. So how can these struggles look like for men? Men who are, you know, starting to embrace their spiritual path, but at the same time they have this inner conflict going on. For example, men were so used to, you know, with the idea that the only reason they reach out to another person is because of an condition, right? It's like, hey, you know what, can we make a deal? You know, what can I get out of you? You know, what can I extract from you, right? That was like a kind of program that is running in a masculinity. Like, you know, how can we build up value for each other and, you know, create like a contract for each other, like a deal, a business deal, like I do this for you and you do this for me, and boom, we make a deal, right? Which is like a condition. I do this and you do that for me. And sometimes these patterns, you know, these things, these behaviors, when maybe a little bit off balance, like the only reason to reach out to another is to get something out of that person, and then if it was not working, then he would apply things like power, control and manipulation in order to dominate over the other person, in order to extract a resource out of the other person. So now he starts to open up to his empathy and sympathy and compassion for the other. He starts to think and start to feel like, wait a minute, what I've been doing, you know, this narcissistic things I've been doing, it does not feel right anymore, right? And then he starts to withdraw. He starts to withdraw from socializing and from reaching out and from connecting, because he asks himself like, wait a minute, you know, I've never really reached out to anyone without a condition, you know, and come from a place of unity and peace and unconditional love, and just make real connections, real authentic connections, connect with someone on a deeper level. We don't do it because of all our masks and identities, right? Our egos we are hiding behind. Another thing can be like taking on a part-time job, going with just the basic needs. The basic needs are fulfilled, so he can come out here in nature on a Friday afternoon when everybody is running around in a rat race, going absolutely nowhere, going after their status and success and fame and whatnot. He goes out the entire day in nature, photographing nature, filming nature, connecting with the earth, connecting with Mother Gaia, because Mother Gaia is of course also like, you know, a divine energy, a divine feminine energy that, you know, we are kind of, you know, destroying. He comes here, start to connect with that, and of course in his mind, like, you know, what's the reason, you know, why, what's the point doing all of this? I mean, should I be working in front of my computer and chasing down success and wealth and fame so I can look better? But then he's kind of like bored with that, you know, so he's again starts to ask his masculinity, because, you know, men are supposed to do that, right? They are supposed to fulfill a role that is expected from society, and but he's in nature, right? Connecting really with the present, connecting with his own essence, which you can only find when, you know, you are connected with the present. That's another thing, you know, that a lot of men having kind of like a double thought about, you know, like it feels good, but it makes no sense, right? So is there a solution? I think it's like divine masculinity has been kind of like matured when he has embraced his own divine feminine energy that exists inside himself, right? When you can really connect with your own, be present with whatever, you know, become emotionally detached, have a level of emotional maturity and intelligence, you know, become detached of everything that's going on, because everything is just like a projection, you know, like the world around us is like a projection screen, right? We are projecting everything without the judgments, the blame, whatever, and have peace with whatever is, you know, whatever is happening, constantly standing above it with a higher sense of wisdom, and just see it as it is. Being grounded, be connected with his own inner self, and can indeed show empathy and compassion for others, the earth. That's really kind of the path we are onto, you know. Still, there are more women practicing this because it already feels more natural to them, but now also more men start to realize, like, wait a minute, something is out of balance, you know. I want to find more balance inside myself, because then I can really show up in the way I want to show up for myself, for others in the world. That feels, you know, that feels like the most authentic way for you, right? You're really showing your real self. That's quite a mission. It can be quite some work, depends what you've gone through, you know. I think narcissism is running a lot in our society, and to overcome that, that's really a process of, you know, going from insecurity and fear to love that exists inside of you. So it's all like breaking down all these images you have about yourself, and then be your true self.